June 24, 2025, a date that would be etched into the annals of history. The world teetered on the edge, a fragile balance that could tip at any moment. Tensions had simmered for months, diplomacy was dead. The corridors of power were filled with unease. In Washington, the president sat in a fortified room surrounded by anxious advisors. The weight of the world rested on their shoulders. Red lights blinked on global maps, each a potential flashpoint. Every blink a reminder of the stakes. The options were discussed, but everyone knew. The machinery of war was already in motion. There was no turning back. In Moscow, the Russian president faced the same grim reality. The air was thick with tension. Generals watched the same maps, the same warnings, the same dread filled their hearts. Years of preparation, drills, and simulations had led to this moment. None could capture the true weight of the decision. The reality was far more daunting. Intelligence was murky. Was the enemy about to strike or bluffing? One mistake could doom billions. The uncertainty was paralyzing. The clock ticked, each second a countdown to catastrophe. Time was running out. Across the world, life continued as usual. Commuters, families, workers, all oblivious to the looming disaster. The mundane persisted in the face of impending doom. Nuclear war was a relic of history, unthinkable in the present. Yet, here it was, a specter from the past threatening the future. People trusted their leaders to pull back from the brink, unaware the brink was already gone. Trust was a fragile thing. The final seconds of peace were silent, a calm before the storm. No warning, no announcement, just a quiet nod in a bunker. The decision was made in hushed tones. Fingers hovered over launch buttons. Codes were confirmed. The finality of the moment was palpable. The systems built for destruction were activated. The machinery of war roared to life. For a fleeting moment, the world was unchanged. Sunset in one place, sunrise in another, a brief illusion of normalcy, but the end had already begun. The irreversible path was set. The irreversible command was given. Humanity's age was closing. The final chapter had started. The world hadn't felt the fire yet. The calm before the storm lingered. The last breath of peace vanished. The world held its breath. The decision was made in silence, not with a shout, a quiet, deadly resolve. The countdown to annihilation had begun. The clock was ticking. The world would never be the same. The dawn of a new, darker era was upon us. Doom arrived not with a bang, but a flicker on a screen, a silent warning that would change the course of history in an instant. In the darkness, a single alert pulsed, unnoticed by most but unmistakable to those who watched. In Colorado, a satellite operator stared in disbelief as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. A missile launch, unmistakable and terrifying, appeared on the monitors. The room filled with tension as the realization set in. The system flagged it instantly. An intercontinental ballistic missile, its trajectory calculated and confirmed, aimed directly at North America. There was no ambiguity, no hope it was a false alarm. Computers ran their calculations again and again. Every model, every simulation, pointed to the same grim conclusion. There was no mistake, no glitch to blame. The alert raced through secure lines to the Pentagon, the White House, and NORAD. Within seconds, the highest levels of government were thrust into crisis mode, their training and protocols now the only guide. The president had only minutes to respond. Protocol was clear: retaliate or risk annihilation. The weight of the world pressed down in those fleeting moments. The nuclear football was opened, codes verified, and the gravest decision in human history loomed. The only question, how and where to strike back. In Moscow, early warning systems blared to life, detecting American preparations. The tension was mirrored on the other side of the world, as officers scrambled to interpret the signals. Their doctrine was simple: launch on warning. There was no time for confirmation, no room for doubt. The order was given, and the machinery of war set in motion. Silo doors slid open across the frozen expanse of Siberia, revealing the weapons that could end civilization. Submarines, hidden beneath the waves, received encrypted launch codes. Crews prepared for the unthinkable, their faces pale in the dim light. In 10 minutes, civilization's fate was sealed. The countdown had begun, and there was no turning back. The public remained oblivious, driving home, watching TV, tucking in children. Emergency broadcasts hadn't sounded. Life continued, unaware of the shadow falling over it. Missiles silently arced into the sky, their trails painting lines of doom across the horizon. Death was on its way to distant, unsuspecting targets. The war had begun. It would end in less than an hour, but its consequences would echo for generations. The world's leaders were now prisoners of their own systems, trapped by decisions made decades before, unable to escape the logic of deterrence. Mutually assured destruction was no longer a theory, it was reality, unfolding in real time. The chain reaction was unstoppable, a cascade of destruction set off by a single, irrevocable decision. The countdown to oblivion accelerated, every second bringing the world closer to the brink. The world's surface was calm. The stratosphere was a battlefield, invisible to those below. The end was in motion, unstoppable, as humanity watched, some in ignorance, some in horror, as history's final chapter began to write itself. Missiles soared into space, marvels of engineering, built for annihilation. Their engines roared with the power of 1,000 storms, carrying their deadly cargo high above the clouds, beyond the reach of ordinary defenses. Each launch was a testament to human ingenuity and a warning of our capacity for destruction. Each ICBM split into multiple warheads, MIRVs, each targeting a different city. With chilling precision, these warheads fanned out, programmed to strike dozens of locations at once, overwhelming any hope of survival for those below. Decoys and chaff confused defenses, no system could stop them all. The sky became a battlefield of illusions, as radar screens lit up with countless false targets, leaving defenders paralyzed by uncertainty. From the ground, it looked like a meteor shower, deadly man-made stars. Trails of light arced silently overhead, beautiful and terrifying as the world watched in disbelief. Military leaders watched helplessly, knowing which cities would vanish. Their hands hovered over controls, but there was nothing left to do, no orders to give, no way to change the outcome. The time for diplomacy and defense was over. The halls of power stood empty, silent witnesses to the failure of negotiation and reason. In command bunkers, silence reigned as screens tracked the incoming destruction. Every second felt like an eternity, as the world's fate played out in cold, digital numbers. For those in the cities, there was no warning, no sirens, no alerts. Life continued as normal, unaware that everything was about to change forever. The first sign, a blinding flash, brighter than the sun. In an instant, night turned to day, shadows erased by the overwhelming light. Heat and blast followed instantly, vaporizing everything in their path. Buildings crumbled, streets melted, and the world as it was known ceased to exist. Millions had less than a minute to live. Confusion turned to terror as people realized the unimaginable was happening. The missile's 30-minute journey was nearly over. The countdown reached its final seconds, unstoppable and absolute. The world's fate was sealed in silence and light. Across continents, cities vanished in the blink of an eye, leaving only memories and ruins. The end arrived faster than anyone could comprehend. Time itself seemed to collapse as the world was plunged into darkness. No one could stop what was coming. The sky rained fire and hope vanished with it. Civilization's final moments were at hand. Streets once filled with life now stood empty, echoing with the silence of loss. The world braced for impact, united in fear and uncertainty, as the unthinkable became reality. The first warhead detonated above the White House. No sound, just blinding light. Temperatures soared beyond the sun's surface. Everything ignited instantly. The shockwave flattened the city, monuments, skyscrapers, bridges, gone in seconds. The sound shattered eardrums, crushed lungs, and destroyed all within 5 miles. Survival rate, 0. Further out, heat and flying debris killed thousands more. Fires merged into a single inferno, sucking in oxygen and life. Washington, D.C. was erased in under a minute, a radioactive crater. Hundreds of thousands died instantly, tens of thousands more in the firestorm. The government was decapitated, the chain of command broken. Continuity plans failed. The first impact was a message: nowhere was safe. The capital of the world's most powerful nation ceased to exist. The city's destruction was total. The world watched in horror. The age of safety was over. Minutes after Washington vanished, Moscow was struck. A 1-megaton warhead exploded above the Kremlin, a mirror image of DC's fate. Iconic landmarks vaporized, the city's heart obliterated. The shockwave leveled everything for miles. Metro stations became tombs. Over 1 million died in seconds. Firestorms consumed the rest. Survivors suffocated as oxygen vanished. The sky turned red with smoke and ash. Russia's government and command structure were annihilated. The country was headless, unable to respond. The destruction of both capitals marked the point of no return. The war became chaos, a dying world lashing out. Civilization's center was gone. With capitals gone, military machines took over. Submarines launched missiles from the oceans, unstoppable, undetectable. Major cities worldwide became targets. New York, London, Beijing, Paris. Other nuclear nations faced a choice: launch or die. Most launched. The sky filled with crossing missiles. The planet was under assault. Deterrence theories collapsed into a frenzy of destruction. Hundreds of warheads detonated in 30 minutes. Civilization erased. Landmarks, cultures, and history vanished in radioactive fire. The world was burning. For those outside the blast zones, the apocalypse began with silence. Power grids failed, EMPs fried electronics, lights, cars, internet, gone in an instant. People plunged into darkness, cut off from information. Panic erupted, rumors, chaos, desperate searches for shelter and supplies. Supermarkets looted, roads jammed, civilization's veneer shattered. Official shelters were overwhelmed, most hid in basements, unprotected from radiation. Fallout drifted down, an invisible lethal poison contaminating everything. Exposure was fatal, even indoors few were safe. The world became a radioactive wasteland. Survival meant avoiding the poisoned earth. The struggle for life had just begun. The odds were nearly impossible. The old world was gone. Fear ruled the streets. The apocalypse was real. Humanity was on its own. After 1 hour, the world was broken beyond repair. 1 billion dead, victims of blast, fire, and radiation. Survivors faced a hostile, poisoned planet. Firestorms pumped black smoke into the sky, blocking the sun. Nuclear winter began. Temperatures dropped. Food and water were scarce, most sources contaminated. Radiation sickness spread, medical help was gone. Governments and infrastructure vanished. The war had no winner, only global suicide. The dying would continue for years. The long, cold night descended. Humanity had lost its gamble. This scenario isn't fantasy, it's a real possibility. Over 12,000 nuclear weapons exist, most on high alert. The power to end civilization is real, waiting for a command. Systems are complex but not infallible. Accidents can happen. Human error, technical glitches, or cyber attacks could trigger disaster. We've come close before, next time we may not be so lucky. The only solution: eliminate the weapons. Prevention requires diplomacy, arms control, and public engagement. There can be no victory in nuclear war. The threat must not fade from our minds. The clock is ticking. Our choices matter. The power to build a safer world is in our hands.